Whether you're dreaming of a retirement with sand between your toes and a cold one in your hand, hitting the road to chase the winds of adventure, or spending time with your grandchildren, this show is intended to help you get there. Welcome to Coasting in Retirement with your host, Josh Knoll. You've worked too hard throughout your career to spend your retirement worrying. So sit back and kick up your feet because we've got lots of financial tips and tricks to share to help you get exactly where you want to be. Here's Josh.
Hello, Lower Alabama. Hello, Gulf Coast. Welcome in. Welcome to Coasting in Retirement. That's right. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to have you. Josh Knoll here, joined by the one and only Michelle Lee Melton.
That's right.
How you doing?
I am doing well. Mardi Gras upon us. We had and winter's back.
Yes.
We had a false spring that was fun. We got sunburned, and now it's gone.
Yeah, we had a little bit of taste of summer there for a minute.
We did, on the island, yeah.
Now it's cold again. Well, we are back, toasty, here in Coastal College's recording studio, beautiful downtown Fairhope, ready to put on another great show for those of you tuning in. Listeners, Michelle and I are here today to discuss financial topics relevant to those of you in or near retirement, living your best life along our part of the Gulf Coast. Here's what we've got in store for you. First segment, deep dive on our topic of the day. Second segment, about 25 minutes past the hour. That's Michelle with the headlines of the week. And then roughly 45 minutes past the hour, stick around for our third segment. We call it Joshua's Crystal Ball and Big Mouth. So buckle up, we got a lot to get to. Quick background on me for those of you new to the show. Again, my name is Josh Knoll. I'm a fee-based financial advisor. I hold my FINRA Series 65 securities license, and I'm the owner of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. That's an independent investment management and financial planning firm. We have offices in Fairhope, Orange Beach, and Mobile. You can find more information on me and the team at Gulf Coast Financial Advisors by visiting our website, gulfcoastfa.com, or feel free to give us a call anytime, 251-327-2124. Now, if you missed that contact info, get a pen and pad ready because we repeat it several times throughout the show. All right, Michelle.
Yes.
Today, we're going to talk about getting paid.
Heck yeah.
You like getting paid, right?
I certainly do. I got paid today.
Yes, you did. So regular listeners know that you supplement the millions that you make off this show with a full-time career where you get paid a salary.
I do.
A W-2 employee, right?
Yeah,
Pretty,
sure am.
Pretty straightforward?
Yeah, I've already filed my taxes. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Yeah, a lot of small business owners are shaking their head
That's
right now.
right. You October people or whatever, yeah.
That's right. Most workers get paid, kind of like Michelle, most are a couple basic ways. You got a salary or you're a W-2 employee, right?
Yes.
Or maybe you're hourly or you're on a commission like a 1099 subcontractor.
No.
Yeah, been both those.
I've had some of those.
Yeah, I haven't been a W-2 in a long time. Been mostly 1099 most of my career. Now, you would think that my profession, financial planning, financial advising, would be the same, right? 1099 or W-2.
I would think a 1099.
Well, which there are W-2s and 1099s. But listeners, let me tell you that it gets a lot more complicated once you start diving in. There's the various advisors and agents and reps and planners in my line of work get paid in all kinds of ways. And we're going to talk about it today because knowing how your financial advisor is getting paid is way more important than you probably realize. In fact, when you're done listening to this episode, you're going to be able to...
You're probably just checking some things out.
Well, and you can almost predetermine the type of financial advice you're going to get if you know how your advisor is getting compensated beforehand. Yes, I'm going to walk you through that.
Okay.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some of these various pay structures can produce all kinds of conflicts of interest. And if for you listeners, if your advisor has the wrong set of conflicts for your particular situation, it can have pretty detrimental effect to your investment portfolio. Now, for the sake of time, we mentioned W-2, but we're going to set aside the salaried W-2 financial advisors for this debate. I mean, there's no offense. It's just...
None taken.
None taken, yeah. The W-2 salaried financial advisor, which I think typically would be a bank-based financial advisor.
That sounds right.
Again, there's nothing wrong with that, so I hope it doesn't come across.
People with real schedules and stuff.
Yeah, I don't mean to come.
Show up.
It's not meant to be a criticism for any of you financial advisors listening that are W-2. I in my part of the space, the independent space, I don't see that a lot. What we are going to be talking about today is the eat what you kill side of the business, where a regular paycheck is never a guarantee. Especially when you're new to the business. Yes.
No, thank you.
I haven't had a regular paycheck in 25 years.
Tragic.
We're also going to disclose how we get paid at Gulf Coast
But you're
Financial
married to a
Advisors.
W-2 gal.
I am, yes, with great insurance. Thank you very much. I'm going to do my best to explain our conflicts of interest that we have at Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, because I'm going to tell you all right now, everyone has conflicts of interest in our space. There's one part of the industry that can claim to have the least, but even they have some. So we're going to dive into all that. So again, we're going to put, one last time, no offense, we're going to put our salaried peers to the side. We're going to divide financial
with
advisors.
our regular paychecks.
That's right. We're going to divide, well, just the financial advisors, not in your line of work, right? But we're going to divide financial advisors into two broad camps, and then we're going to discuss the pros and cons of each. And again, listeners, this is important because once you know how your financial advisor is compensated, you can pretty consistently pick what type of, you'll be prepared for the type of advice that's going to be coming your way. On one side of the dividing line, we have the commission-based advisors. That's often brokers selling securities for a commission, or insurance agents selling insurance products for a commission. On the other side, you'll have your what I call your fee-for-service advisors, and that's a broad umbrella. It's going to encompass a wide variety of advisors, and listeners should know that there is certain disdain between the two camps, between the fee-for-service and the commission side, which we will discuss. And to be fair, there's even disagreement among the advisors in the fee-for-service camp about what method is truly in the client's best interest, which we're going to discuss as well.
All right.
Okay, so let's dive into the commission world first, Michelle, and then we'll pivot to the fee-for-service world, and we'll describe the different kinds of advisors that are inherent with that. We're also going to talk about advisors that wear both hats or have a leg in both sides. Hybrids, yes. Duly registered, things like that. So first, on the commission side. Now, listeners, especially those of you all that are in the industry, I'm going to profess a little bit of ignorance because I have been out of the commission side of the security side of our business for so many years now that I'm not sure how many people still do the broker security. So, for example, Michelle, on mutual funds, there are three different classes of mutual funds that tell you they're A, B, and C, right?
Oh, okay,
and
that's easy enough.
Right. And they tell you how the selling advisor or selling broker is compensated. A Class A share, the broker gets the commission up front.
Oh.
And then I'm going to be honest with you, I can't remember B and C. It's been so long. I'm pretty sure C.
Do people not usually do that then?
I think B was the back end load, and they more or less have been ran out of the industry. I know back in the day when I could do broker style stuff, we weren't allowed to sell B or C or one of them.
Because the camp that you worked under wanted the money up front?
Well, not necessarily, because there were so many problems inherent with it.
Okay.
And the reason we bring it up is in the broker style, quote unquote, advisor industry, I know they still exist. We just don't see them very often. That's somebody, again, we've talked about this on the show, Michelle, like somebody with what's called a Series 7. Think Wall Street.
Yes.
Not necessarily all the shenanigans, but when Charlie Sheen goes into work and they're sitting there talking and they're calling people up and trying to sell them stocks and things like that. All right.
Penny stocks.
So that would be your classic commission style broker,
Yes.
right? Now, an argument will be made on the commission style. American funds, at least when I was in that world, was the biggest player or one of the bigger players. They had a lot of Dave Ramsey ties with the commission side of Class A mutual funds. And the thought there was you pay the one-time commission up front and then you hold the mutual fund forever, right?
Okay.
Whereas in my world, the advisory world, if you are going to hold a position, if you're going to hold that position forever, there's really no justification for charging a fee on top of that because we're not doing anything. So that's the argument to be made on the commission side. Again, folks, I can just tell you, I don't see it as much as I used to. What I do see on the commission side, particularly with the rise of fixed index annuity, what I would call annuity shops, and IMOs or independent marketing organizations. What I do see on the commission side is the absolute rise of annuity-based advisors that sell on a commission. We've talked about it a lot on here. We've talked about annuities a lot, and as any long-time listener will know, we don't necessarily have a particularly issue with the product itself. We have an issue with how the product is sold, right?
Yes.
And often, what you will see on the shops, the annuity shops that really heavily promote the fixed index annuities, is they're going to be commission-based advisors, and a lot of times they're backed by an independent marketing organization that gives them access to a wide variety of annuities and annuity carriers. And there's, again, nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just they tend to, a lot of times they'll have like these sales trips, and they'll push a certain type of annuity with these bonus programs and things like that. And you just it would be almost humanly impossible not to have some kind of conflict of interest.
Sure.
Because think about this: if you're a commission-based advisor, Michelle, and you're looking at two different annuities, and they do basically the same thing,
You want the one that's got the most money.
but one pays a higher upfront commission than the other. You're
That's right.
just human nature. You're going to pick the one, right? And usually, typically speaking, with the higher commission in our
I
world,
don't know. Would everybody do that, Josh?
well, I'm just telling you what I see, and I've been doing this a long time. What happens a lot of times is, human nature kicks in, and a lot with the higher commissions. I can tell you all just from being in the insurance world for so long. Generally speaking, the higher the commission, the insurance company is getting their pound of flesh out of you some way. They're going to be either having a longer surrender period, or there's going to be a lower cap rate on your participation, or there's going to be something that's going to be buried in the fine print. Just trust me on this, okay? All right, it makes sense on that. That's that's two really broad brushes on the commission side. Now, pivoting to the fee-for-service side, which is the world I live in, right? And I'm not even sure if fee-for-service is a technical term. It's one that I coined.
Fee-based?
Well, because fee-based would be one part of that.
Okay.
I call it fee-for-service because when you are on that side of it, one thing that you generally speaking, especially if you go fee only, is if you don't totally walk away from the commissionable ability to collect a commission, you hold a very thin line to it. For example, when I established Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, I established what Michelle just said. I established as a fee-based financial planning firm. What that inherently means on the security side is I gave up any type of securities licensing that would allow me or the other advisors in our company to accept a commission on the sale of a security. So, for example, Michelle, we mentioned Class A mutual funds. Mm-hmm. Even if I wanted to sell them, I don't even have the proper licensing to sell them anymore.
Okay.
Right. So I just by the sheer nature of how we've built our business, I cannot accept a commission on the sale of a stock or a mutual fund or any type of security. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So under the fee-for-service, you have fee-based advisors like me. We're going to talk about the difference between fee-based and fee-only. As a fee-based financial advisor, because I do have as you very well know, my background, I came up on the insurance side. So I still have my insurance license, and I can still collect insurance commissions. Mm-hmm. That's a conflict of interest we're going to talk about. In fact, we're going to really dive in so you all know exactly what you're walking into. Now, that said, as my business has grown, I do very, very little insurance anymore. Typically, I'm a lean on Jay Stubbs at Provident Partners. It helps keep the conversation clear,
clean
on
and transparent.
Are we always operating in fiduciary capacity? And two, honestly, I just don't have time. And Jay is way better at this stuff than I am. When years ago, when I was really, really knee deep or neck deep in all the insurance side, I knew all the ins and outs. I knew everything that was coming in that was current. I don't. That's why I surround myself with a great team member, a strategic partner like Jay Stubbs. So I'm what's called a fee-based. Fee-based means that on the security side, generally speaking, we are not going to have the ability to do any type of commissionable securities transactions. However, a lot of people like me that came up on the insurance side still like to have our insurance license because, as we'll talk about the fee-only people, one of the handicaps for the fee-only advisors that don't carry any type of insurance license typically is they have to farm that out. And for me to farm out a lot of the insurance stuff, I better have somebody like Jay on hand because I've been doing this now over 16 years. Am I really going to give that to somebody that's only been doing it a year or two, right?
Probably not.
You get the idea?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got years and years of experience in life insurance, disability income, and long-term care. I just do, right? Other type of fee-for-service advisors, you heard us talk about fee-based and fee-only. We can also, a lot of advisors like me can charge by the hour.
Yes.
Yep. Michelle, with her law degree, if she was practicing law, is that the right way to say it?
Yeah.
You could charge by the hour.
Yep. Or have a retainer, which I think we're going to talk about today.
Or you can do a retainer, which a lot of times we'll do a retainer type. Now, in my line of work, Michelle, you have to be careful. It's state by state, but definitely in Alabama, you can't make the retainer past a certain dollar amount because now you're getting into custody, which we're going to talk about on this show as well.
Right.
So we do small quarterly retainers. And we try to keep it very reasonable and definitely below that threshold of custodian because we're not in for a financial advisor to be a self-custodian, which we're going to talk about later, is a great way for you all to get in a lot of trouble and get screwed.
Yeah.
So we don't self-custody. We rely on third-party custodians, Charles Schwab in particular. There are advisors like me that charge a asset under management fee.
AUM.
AUM. You've got to know that very well.
Yeah.
Right? Now, in the old days, hence 2 or 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, a lot of times in fourscore in 3 days ago, advisors would charge an asset under management fee, generally speaking, around 1% of the assets being managed. So if you got $1 million in managed assets, just do the simple math, that'd be
move
an
the
annual
decimal.
fee of $10,000 in this scenario. The point being, a lot of times those advisors charging the AUM would operate strictly in an investment management capacity. All they would do is try to do better with somebody's investments than that person could do on their own, and they didn't really offer many services outside of that. They were kind of like brokers, only their commission. So in that situation, Michelle, in my opinion, their advisor fee was nothing more than a commission spread out over time.
Okay.
Now, that's going to aggravate a few people listening to this show that are in our industry. But I think most people would agree with this. What we have done at Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, and what I think a lot of, especially independent financial advisor shops have done, is if we do charge an asset under management fee, we're also going to include certain financial planning services,
Okay.
retirement planning, income planning. Now, we do some tax planning. We will always bring in a true CPA or an accountant with that to actually do the tax returns and the hardcore tax planning. But we can do tax planning, incorporate tax planning with our financial planning software. We can take that exact same scenario I just laid out. We can do very similar things with estate planning as well. Although when it comes to the actual estate planning and the documents, we're going to reach out to a licensed and practicing estate planning attorney. We have very great strategic partners in the area that we use with that. So back to what we just talked about. Broker, commission style. Could be securities, Class A mutual funds, stocks, things like that, right?
Right.
Kind of I'm really going to just aggravate some people. It's kind of the dinosaur of our industry to do that. I don't know in my circle, I don't know who still relies solely on the commissions from the sale of securities. Maybe they're out there, but I would hazard a guess they're older than me. And I'm not particularly young. I'm young in the industry. I'm not particularly young in life. And then you got the more common, you got the insurance-based advisors. And again, I'm going to be a jerk here, but if you're insurance license only, you're technically not a financial advisor, right? You're not really supposed to hold yourself out as that, but people do
it
anyway,
all the time,
right?
yeah.
And then on the other side, you got the fee for service. That is typically paid with a flat fee where you charge, hey, I'm going to charge you $1,000 per year to handle all your planning, $2,000 a year, whatever it may be. That could be hourly, which is probably the least active part of my practice. That is somebody that comes in with a very specific project. The times that I've done hourly, usually it's been I've given some disinterested third-party advice, or I've kind of double-checked some people's math work, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Retainer, which we do on our financial planning. We do a very small retainer quarterly. That gives us the financial incentive to work with somebody that may not have a ton of assets, or maybe those assets are being managed by somebody else, but maybe somebody wants our particular expertise, which generally speaking is going to be small business and entrepreneurship. On those of y'all that are still working, we can do the asset under management, which is obviously a big part of our model and most financial advisors' models. I would argue that our model has a little bit more value packed in because we're going to be incorporating financial planning and some of the other retirement planning, income planning. A lot of the planning is going to be baked into that asset under management after you get to a certain level of assets. And then lastly, the hybrid. Michelle mentioned it earlier. There are advisors that honestly do all of the above. And I don't know how they do it. Like, I don't know how I guess if you still have your toe in the commissionable security side, and you also have your Series 65 or 66 or your CFP to do the advisory fee for service, the only argument I could see that would make a lick of sense would be, well, if I've got young buy and hold investors, or maybe younger investors that are going to buy American funds, small cap Class A mutual fund, and hold it for 20 years, then that's their best fit. And maybe there's argument to be made for that. But my argument would be made is you typically on a Class A mutual fund, Michelle, you're paying around 5%. I think the allowable limit's 5.75. So think about what that means is if you put $100 in that mutual fund, how much of that actually is invested if it's 5% up front? $95.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's not 5%, it's 5.75.
Well, I'm saying it can go up. There's certain threshold it can't go past.
Okay.
But let's say it's a 5%
Okay.
upfront
That's
load.
easier math than 5.75. That's why I
Fair.
was looking at you.
You're like,
I don't know.
well, that'd be $94.25, by the way. But yeah, so you're not even getting your full $100. I feel like there's not a mutual fund out there that doesn't have either a no load or an ETF alternative to it that can do the same thing without the upfront cost and for a lower expense ratio, the ongoing cost of, because remember, even on mutual funds, on Class A, you're going to pay a sales load and you're also going to pay an expense ratio, expense load as you carry that mutual fund. You can do it much cheaper with ETFs and no load, low cost index funds. All right. Have I lost you yet? This is how we get paid.
Yeah,
This is dry. I told you we were doing a little bit of a dry one and a little bit of an evergreen one. Now, we mentioned in the beginning, so we're going to start landing this plane on segment 1. We talked about if you know how a advisor is licensed, you kind of know what you're walking into.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
So if somebody were to look me up, you can go to Broker Check, which I'm not a broker anymore. It's going to direct you to the SEC, and you're going to see where I have a Series 65 license. Now, your Series 65 securities license, I think there's also the 66. That means I am almost automatically either fee-based or fee-only, which means if you come in and talk to an advisor that has that licensing, we're probably going to be having a conversation pretty quickly about managing your assets in an advisory account, right?
Yes.
Managing your assets in an advisory account. We're also going to be talking about financial planning, and we're going to lay out some different options around that we can charge by the hour or the retainer, or we can do a flat fee, right?
Okay.
If you pull up Broker Check and you see a 6 and 63 financial advisor, that is what allows them to sell variable products and commissionable products. That means you're probably going to have a pretty quick conversation around variable annuities. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's say you walk in, you see and probably mutual funds, Class A mutual funds. Let's say you see somebody's got Series 7.
Okay.
That now you're walking in, again, this is being really generic, but you're walking in kind of like a Wall Street situation where this person's probably holding himself as a stockbroker.
Okay, so trade to make the money.
That's right. Yes. And that can create a conflict because that person is only going to make money when there's a transaction that happens, right?
Yes.
So they're going to be automatic. Not saying that there's not great people in the stockbroker world or the broker world, but they're always going to be an incentive to make transactions. Right.
Yes.
And let's say that you don't see any securities license, there's only insurance license. Brothers and sisters, I can tell you there is going to be an annuity or an index universal life on the table in front of you faster than you can blink. Trust me on this.
Are there a lot of commission-based people still? I mean, financial advisors?
In my opinion, it's more on the insurance side than the broker side.
All right, really? Okay.
Yes, at least I feel like I'm fairly plugged into the wire. I mean, I as you very well know, I'm friendly with most of them, even if I don't necessarily agree with how they do business. And I can't name one friend that is quote unquote a broker style advisor anymore.
Right.
Right. So maybe they're out there. Maybe they just stay on their phone all day long making phone calls. I don't know.
Oh, that's how they get paid.
That's how they get paid, through transactions. Right. I know that I do have clients come in that are moving away from brokers style, and I can see why, because a lot of times you're relying on somebody to be better because usually when they're broker style, they tend to be very specific on finding the needle in the haystack, generally speaking, right?
All right.
Whereas advisory space, not always, but often is about, and don't worry about the needle in the haystack, just buy the haystack and manage it properly. Mm-hmm. And it's especially in the last couple of years with AI and everything coming in, it's hard for a guy sitting there, even if he's staring at 3 computer screens all day, or gal.
I guarantee
if
I go
beat
try
the
to do some trade when I get home, I'm going to be talking to a robot.
Right, as we see a lot of times, the performance does not dramatically, in that world, it's very rare that someone dramatically beats the market. To dramatically beat the market, now you're talking about, you're usually getting into hedge funds or private equity, where they're ahead of the game versus when the retail investor comes to the table.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, listeners, if you're confused as the type of advisor that would be best for your situation, or maybe you're confused as the type of advisor you currently have, we invite you, have a no obligation, no BS conversation with our firm, with our team at Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. You can reach us at 251-327-2124 or through our website, gulfcoastfa.com. On our site, you can choose to send us a direct message, or you can click on the blue button in the upper right-hand corner. That'll set up a 15-minute introductory phone call on my calendar. Reminder, if you want me to call you, make sure you include your phone number, okay? All right, folks, coming up next, There's always a lot going on in the world, particularly the world of finance, investments, and money. Every week we scour the internet for financial articles related to our topic of the day. Special articles are pertaining to those of you in or near retirement. Join us after the break to hear Michelle and I discuss this week's relevant headlines in our Michelle with the Headlines of the Week segment. Stay tuned. Whether it's building a business from scratch with your own two hands and wanting to maximize the financial impact of those sacrifices, or growing a great nest egg by being a dedicated and reliable worker for years, or choosing to live a life well within your means in order to accomplish a lifelong dream of retirement, the last thing you want is to go with the wrong financial advice after you've worked so hard to accumulate your assets. You've also probably spent most of your life putting others' needs ahead of your own, and now it's your turn. We can help. Gulf Coast Financial Advisors is a locally owned, independent, fee-based financial planning, investment management, and tax planning practice. We have offices in Fairhope and Orange Beach. We serve all of Baldwin County and the Gulf Coast. We also have an easy-to-understand fee-for-service model with no sales quotas, no proprietary products. Our ultimate responsibility is to our clients' goals and dreams. You can reach us at 251-327-2124 or find us online at gulfcoastfa.com. That's Gulf, like the Gulf of Mexico, Coast, FA as in financialadvisor.com. Welcome back to Coasting in Retirement. Your host, Josh Knoll here. So, as we discussed before the break, every week we scour what Michelle calls the interwebs for financial articles related to our topic of the day, especially articles that pertain to those of you in or near retirement. Our job is to help you all, or at least we think it is to help you all understand how these headlines impact you, especially when it comes to your money. Now, note, if you want to read our referenced articles yourself, we include the show links in our show transcripts. You can find those on our website, gulfcoastfa.com. Just go to the podcast tab and find the show that you were listening to and go look in the transcript. You'll find the article links. With all that said, and without further ado, here's Michelle with the headlines of the week.
All right, Josh, let's start with industry-facing site Advisor Hub. They have a recent article titled, "What are the benefits of a fee-based financial advisor?" This article reiterates the different types of fee-for-service financial advisors that we discussed on the show opening. Then it also goes a little deeper into why a fee-based advisor may be a good choice for an investor, including cost certainty and alignment of interest between the advisor and the client. It also gives a handy chart, which I liked, a little cheat sheet, to help investors pick the most appropriate fee-based advisor for a situation, and talks about how these different fees are often far less than investors think they are. So I'm going to be biased, obviously, and think that fee-based advisors are the best. Right. But why did you pick this particular career path?
Well, it's a good question. A lot of it was trial and error. So history, longtime listeners already know this a little bit. I came up on the insurance side. In fact, I came from the supplemental insurance side. I started my career. I think redneck Aflac. I was I was a country version of Aflac out in the backwoods, small towns of Tennessee, Missouri, and Arkansas. So I came up on the insurance side, moved down here 11 years ago, started with a insurance mutual company, wanted to build a financial planning and advising practice, thought that I was on the right path. Fortunately, I met wonderful people there, but it became very apparent within a couple of years that was not the right way to go, because anytime that you're still on the commission side, Michelle, so I'm answering your question.
Yes.
I wanted to build a fee-based practice because I wanted the ability to pick whatever was the best solution for my clients and not even have to think or worry about what it paid me, because not a single company when I'm doing investment management for my clients in the financial planning and the security side, I don't get paid by a single company. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I get paid by the client only, right?
Sure.
And I don't get paid for transactions. So I could go in there, and a lot of times it's called churning. You'll see that on the broker side, where you're overbuying and selling to create transactions, to create commissions, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it happens all the times, but there's a reason that the word churning came from that part of the industry. I could sit there in someone's account and literally make, I'm sure Schwab would shut me down at some point, but let's say I just did 10,000 transactions in a day. It would be the biggest waste of my time because I don't get paid for transactions. I don't receive commissions.
Yeah.
I get paid directly by the client, and I get paid. The better the client does, the better
you
I
do.
do. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most people have seen that Ken Fisher commercial. Ken Fisher is a fee-based financial advisor too. In fact, he's fee only. We'll talk more about that later. And then with the fee for service or the fee-based, I wanted the ability to be able to incorporate, we talked about it earlier, incorporate the financial planning, debt management, cash flow management, income planning, insurance planning, risk management, estate planning, tax planning, all that. And with that model, you can do it. The thing that's cool about it, and you mentioned this, is I think if you ask a regular person walking down the street, like they do with late shows, hey, what do you think about X? I think if you ask them what does a financial advisor cost, I think you would get just such a wide range.
Yeah, people are way off base with that.
Way off base.
Yeah.
But I would guess that they would think that for somebody like me on the fee for service side, probably costs them somewhere. I'm going to take a guess. They probably think we're like 5 to 10%. Right? Well, let me ask you. If you forget that you've known me for a
I
while.
would think 5 to 10% or 7 to 8. I mean, think about like real estate transactions. And
There you
stuff
go.
too. Yeah,
I think right now, if you're talking the broker style of this industry, you're not terribly far off because last time I saw a Class A mutual fund, the sales load was 5%. So let's assume that stayed pretty consistent. But for working for a fee-based or fee-only financial advisor like me, it's going to be probably somewhere around 1%.
Okay.
In that range.
All right.
And the larger the balance, the smaller the percentage.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, I've got some of my larger clients work on I think, pretty minimal effective rate when it's all said and done. However, because we've done a good job and we've grown those assets together with them, again, they do better, we do better. There's enough profitability and stability there that we can offer all these services and not feel like we're giving away the house for free, right?
Gotcha.
I think so. That answers your question. That's why I built this model.
Okay.
It takes more time this way.
Yes.
This way sucks in the beginning. The people in the industry are listening. There's a reason why a lot of us started on either the insurance side or the broker side because it's miserable. It's hard to make. It's a long play. This side of the business is a long play, as you very well have seen with your own 2 eyes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. What's next?
Okay. Next up, our friends at Smart Asset. They have an article titled Fee-Based versus Commission-Based Financial Advisors. My primary takeaway from this article is that there are a lot more conflicts of interest when commissions are introduced into financial planning, including some commission-based advisors choosing a product based solely on its high commission. So my question to you, Josh, is this. If it's so obvious that your industry is going towards the fee side and it appears to work better for everyone involved, why, and I kind of got to this earlier, we can embellish on it, why are there still commission-based advisors out there? Wouldn't they just switch to the winning side?
Well, you asked if there were any. Now you're asking why, because I told you there still are. So, pardon me, I'm going to sound a little bit like...
And what advantage to the client, if any, for commission-based?
That's a great question, because in my opinion...
Yes.
If you're still collecting a commission on the sale of securities on the broker side, man, in my opinion, you're either, on a positive side, you're either a really talented one-trick pony that has found a niche, right?
Okay.
Or if you're
just riding
of average, or if you're of average talent, like the majority of, there's a reason it's called average, then that just means you're out of date and you're probably a little bit older and you don't want to change your ways.
Okay.
Because going from the broker,
and maybe their clients are too, and so they'll just die together.
Possibly, yeah,
All right.
yeah. I bet you. My guess is the client base in that scenario is probably older. That's a great point, Michelle. And you would think it would be an easy transition. It is not. It's got,
people don't like change.
And it's almost like you're learning a new. It's almost like you're going from the King James version of English to modern English. You're just talking differently to your clients. It's such a different conversation. And anybody wants to push back on that, I lived all this. I'm not telling you this that I read in a book. I lived all this. I think the other reason it's living on is because the proliferation of annuity shops that are pushing fixed index annuities really hard. IMOs, independent marketing organizations, with the majority of them are very above board. Even if I disagree with the pushiness of them, as you very well know, Michelle, I dealt with one a few years back that told me that I was literally, I quote, "You're a fool for not introducing a fixed index annuity to every single new client conversation," unquote. I'm not joking. I have it in email. If anybody wants to see, I can show you where this guy called me a fool, because I told him annuities
aren't for everyone.
They don't have to be especially don't have to be introduced to every conversation. Let's just say he disagreed, because I'm leaving out some of the more vulgar language he used. But there's also some that IMOs that, you know what an MLM is, Michelle?
An MLM, those are my initials.
Yeah, come on.
So I do know that.
But what does that stand for on the business side?
I have no idea.
Multi-level marketing.
Okay.
Some IMOs get into the MLM side where the producers are incentivized not only to sell product, but they're also incentivized to bring other producers into the business. Think Avon or Tupperware only for the insurance side, right?
Like a Ponzi scheme?
Well, not necessarily a Ponzi scheme because
a pyramid scheme.
The one thing that keeps insurance-based MLMs a lot of times out of the Ponzi scheme is their actual product. I mean, you still have insurance carriers, but they are incentivized a lot of times to bring in other producers, and a lot of times they'll get people that they'll get in with these. Trust me on this, y'all. They live an outsized lifestyle. They'll drive nice cars. They always have nice watches, and they'll flash this stuff to these other producers, and a lot of times they'll flash this stuff to potential clients.
Sure.
Yeah, there's people that have
Seen
been.
that.
Yeah, right. and they're living this lifestyle. Yes, a lot of times they are successful, especially on the annuity shops. They do really well. But you all have got to understand, and we're going to talk about this coming up next on your next article. That type of advisor that is living that lifestyle, sometimes they're fee-based or fee-only. But I can tell you, most fee-based and fee-only people tend to be a little more conservative, i.e. like me. As you very well know, I don't have a fancy watch on. Because to live that type of lifestyle especially when you're on the commission side, you have got to be on the hunt constantly.
Yeah.
You are just constantly marketing and looking for new clients, and you're turning and you're burning to live that lifestyle. That large, huge boat, the second house, all that. We're going to talk about that. In fact,
I like those things, though.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with it. And, by most, a lot of people look at the lifestyle we live and say, oh, man, they live great, right? So it's all relative to some degree. I mean,
we do not have a plane.
We do not have a plane. And we're okay. And I'm okay not having a plane. But we are going to have a bigger boat. All right, what you got next? I think this leads into your next article.
Okay, so this is number 3, and we're sticking with smart assets.
Yes. This, I think, is kind of a sister article to what we just talked about.
Okay.
Yep.
They have a recent article titled 6 Warning Signs You Hired the Wrong Financial Advisor. I can tell you that there are definitely a couple of things on this list that would aggravate me if I was working with a financial advisor, such as being a pushy salesperson around an insurance product or having a confusing compensation structure. But probably nothing would irritate me more than hiring an advisor and then basically getting ghosted and not being able to talk to them, getting pawned off on somebody else. That would be upsetting. So I do know this really happens because I hear you talk about it. And we actually have some mutual friends that are currently griping about their advisor.
Correct.
Because these people, their advisor's been their advisor for a while, but they've gone into some kind of upper echelon and they can't get any answers out of them. So, do advisors really bring on new clients and ignore them? Is that a common stance?
It's a business model.
It is a business model?
Yes, I'm going to talk about it.
And how does it survive that way if it's said business model? Because that seems pretty piss poor.
So, all right. So before I answer your question directly, let's talk about human nature again, right? Mm-hmm. If your business, forget financial advising. Let's just say you were in sales and your model was you get paid up front one time and that is it in the client relationship. What are you going to be incentivized to do?
Talk to the client up front.
And find more clients.
Sure.
Right?
You just move them. Yeah,
Are they clients or the customers is the argument.
Pick them up, knock them down.
Right.
Okay.
As opposed to what if your business model paid over time and only if you kept the client happy.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
What I described to you is the difference between upfront commissions and a fee for service or a fee-based or fee-only thing. Because what you're talking about when they ghost them is it's the annuity shop model. Okay. It's where they wine and dine you, and then they pass you off to a junior or a servicing advisor because the primary advisor is always marketing. They're always on the hunt for their next client, customer. The marketing dollars it takes to support this model, plus in the inevitable flashy personal lifestyle is staggering. I probably sound like I'm sour grapes here. I'm not.
A little bit.
Because I do fine, right? We've got Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. I love the model. But if somebody is going to pick me as a financial advisor because I drive a super nice car if you're, just know this, folks. If your advisor quickly, without prompting, starts bragging about their boat or their house or their second house, or Lord help us, we just talked about it, or a plane, you need to take note of this. Remember what we said in the opening segment.
Run the other way.
There's going to be clues at what direction you're going to be taken by your financial advisor, both by what they're saying and by how they're licensed. We talked about the different securities license in the opening segment. I can tell you all, if you've got somebody that is both commissionable on the security side and also commissionable on the insurance side, you better buckle up, because you're about to get thrown a lot of product. You're going to be about to get thrown a lot of upfront commissionable product, and you better be careful about what type of service you're going to get on the backside of that commissionable product. However, let's say that you get somebody that does for me, let's pick on me, because I think we talk about it in your last article. Let's go ahead and start segueing that way, Michelle.
Okay.
I can, if I was operating this way, could do the fiduciary-based fee-for-service financial advising, asset under management, and I could also sell an insurance product, upfront commissionable product, right? That's why longtime listeners know that we are forever, at least me personally, I can't say the word, I am constantly moving towards the fee-only space, because I can see where the temptation leads to a conflict of interest, even if you're doing something as valuable as a life insurance product, right? Mm-hmm. We typically do buy term invest a difference, but we have done large business owner permanent life insurance cases because it tied into their tax planning. And so I definitely see where the conflicts come into play. One of the ways that we help at least reduce those conflicts is by bringing on what I think are very valuable strategic partnerships, particularly on the risk management side when it comes to life insurance, disability income, long-term care, and potential income annuities. That would be Jay Stubbs of Provident Partners, because Jay is going to be very upfront. You know what you're walking into. Jay's been doing this so long. He could care less what anything pays him at this point. He just wants to find the best product for that person's solution. So I know when we're working with somebody with Jay that everybody's working their best interests across all lines. And I have, by the sheer nature of what I've done, I've at least helped reduce some of the conflicts of interest that I have around my planning.
Yeah.
All right. You got one more, which I think leads into me picking on myself some more here.
Okay.
I'm being too honest. What happened?
Oh, no.
You slipped your truth serum in
That's
my
right.
drink.
The truth serum.
Dadgummit.
Okay. Last article. It's from U.S. News and World Report. It's titled Pros and Cons of Using a Fee-Only Financial Planner. And like you said, I was curious why you wanted to include this article, because as we discussed earlier in the show, you're technically not a fee-only financial advisor.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, but you're constantly moving towards.
Constantly.
This article details the benefits of using a fee-only planner, such as total transparency around compensation and zero sales commissions on any products, but also discuss some of the challenges that fee-only advisors face, such as having to often refer out their clients' risk management needs around insurance product. Ding, ding. So I guess I'll just ask Josh, why did you include this article?
Well, because I think it's fair to say I've been pretty hard. I've picked on the commission-based advisors in this episode. I think that's fair, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And, full disclosure, listeners, if I sound a little, I don't want to say sour grapes, but if I sound a little irritated, it's because I am. Because more often than not, when someone comes into our office and they've actually had real damage done to their portfolio, I'm not saying that the fee-only and the fee-based, that our side of the equation, the fee-for-service side, is just perfect and holier than thou. That's not the case. We can do real damage as well. But generally speaking, it's the commission side of the industry where the damage is done, especially when illiquid products like private partnerships and certain REITs and definitely
REITs.
certain annuities are sold with a lack of understanding of how the things function to the individual. When they have long surrender periods, particularly around fixed index annuities, we'll see things come in with 10-year surrender periods, Michelle. And I've been in this business 16 years. Things change. Like things almost do a 90-degree, 180 change with every 5 years. At 10 years, that product's going to be so out of date, it's going to be ridiculous. You should not be doing a 10-year surrender.
Okay.
No, 5 to 7 max, right?
That's good to know.
So I thought that I should pick something here that gives you the other side of the equation of some of the things that the fee-only advisors would say about, forget the commission side. They're not even I'm telling you, the fee-only people look at the annuity salesman with such disdain. It's kind of comical. But they even look at the fee-based people like me that came up on the insurance side with a little bit of animosity, because on the fee-only side, to be fair, they intentionally, it's kind of like being the monk of our industry. They only are going to be able to charge an asset under management fee, or more often than not, most of what you see in the fee-only side, you see a lot of CFPs in that stretch. They usually charge a flat fee around planning. And I can tell you folks, if you're looking for a financial advisor, in my opinion, I think it's important that you look at the fee-based and the fee-only and know that I'm going to be very honest, that if you are looking for just the absolute easiest thing to understand about how you're paying this person. It's hard to argue against the fee-only model. I'm going to be honest with you. That's why we're moving towards it.
You guys don't have access to those commission-based products,
Well,
right?
you guys, remember, I'm fee-based because I still hold my insurance license.
Oh, so but the fee only.
Yeah, but again, I try to mitigate that by using a strategic partnership with Jay Stubbs and Providence Partners. But the fee-only people don't have that. However, last thing, the thing that has absolutely, I've seen them struggle with is they go through this whole thing on the fee-only planning, and more often than not, Michelle, they're going to be a buy term life insurance and sell the difference. And especially some of the younger, less connected fee-only financial advisors, it's obvious that their client needs life insurance and they refer them to somebody, and that person comes back and guess what? They bought an index universal life for $500 a month or something. And what good have you done to anybody there, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, well, listeners, I hope you learned something from our discussion around these headlines. I would argue all this matters to your money. Trust me on some of these things. I've been on all sides of the industry. As regular listeners know, I've done everything the hard way, but backwards, as I like to say. But doing it that way, I've got to learn the parts of the industry
That's how you came into the world.
That's fair, yes, Mom. But doing it this way, I think that it's given me a good, I've learned what I don't want to do and what I don't want to put my clients into. Hence, that's how we've landed on this business model that we have. If you would like to start the conversation with us about your investments and your retirement planning, why don't you give us a call, 251-327-2124. Also, you can reach out to us on our website, gulfcoastfa.com. On there, you can send us a direct message, or I would highly encourage you, click on the blue button in the upper right-hand corner. That will put a 15-minute introductory phone call on my calendar. Do note, if you want me to call you, include those instructions in your phone number. I would say I'm opinionated. I would say a radio show host that isn't opinionated would be very boring to listen to. And I'm paid in my profession to offer professional guidance and opinions to my clients. Otherwise, what use would I be to replace me with AI? And I thought about that, Michelle. Again, I'm getting on another tangent here, but AI cannot give context and opinions, right?
No, they can't
And
give opinions.
as long as I have good context and I have good opinions, probably will stay in business.
That's right.
Okay.
And I think real humans would prefer talking to real humans.
You would think so. That and $2 will get you a cheap cup of coffee at the gas station. So I like making predictions, and while I feel I'm usually proved right because I'm kind of skeptical of my own industry, sometimes I swing and miss. This time, Michelle, I got just an opinion to offer. Big mouth opinion.
Oh, big mouth opinion. Am I writing this down?
I don't think you need to write it down because it's a context conversation. All right. I want to say this. We're definitely going off we're maybe going off on a third rail here accidentally.
Don't touch the third rail.
We would be remiss. We intentionally keep this show non-political. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I would say that
It's
one
difficult
listener.
to do.
It is difficult to do. I would say there's not one listener that knows outside of me and you probably professing the fact that we disagree with some things on both sides and we tend to skew a little bit more independent. That would probably be about the biggest takeaway they have, right?
Yeah.
And you just said it's hard to keep your opinions to yourself. Yeah. I would argue not only with this radio show, it's also really hard with social media and with my own personal life, with even some family members, right?
That's right.
Because I don't necessarily agree with where they're coming from, but yet I try to.
Yeah.
What I will say to our listeners is if you do anything, if you're listening to this show, you are listening to an independently produced radio show with an independent voice, funded by an independent business, sponsored by an independent locally owned business. My business, Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, is independent and locally owned. The sponsor that provides some of the support for the show, that's Jay Stubbs and Providence Partners. They are independent, locally owned. So I would say, if anything, we are always going to skew towards standing up for the independent voice. So if you're listening to the show and you are especially if you're thinking about, are a long-time listener, or you like what you've heard and you think you're going to tune in again, I would ask you between now and the next time that you listen to this show, when you have those urges to voice a very strong opinion, you can't do it on a radio show. I could, or social media, or to your family members, try to have some empathy.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah. Yes. It's
how many times
tedious.
I'm gonna end the show on a funny.
Oh, please do.
How many times when you see something on social media and you want to chime in?
It's all the time, but I don't even get into it. Yeah.
And I will tell you, I got two things to say as we end this show, and then I'll let you can come back. One, my grandpa would always say, if you roll around in the slop with the pigs,
you get dirty.
You get covered in pig do,
Yeah.
and the hogs get happy. He'd always tell me that.
Yeah.
The hogs get happy. You
Yeah,
get covered in
he was
pig. He used
yeah.
a stronger word.
Yeah.
And number two, I think you'll find this funny. Sometimes I'll think about, what would Keanu Reeves do right here? Would he comment on this, or would he just be cool? Would he just stay? Because I think of all our celebrities of our age group, who tends to have like the most likable? Does anybody not like Keanu Reeves outside of maybe not liking his acting? But from a
Right.
personality standpoint,
He shows up all the time for people.
and he
just
seems like he's
random.
just extremely nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
And so I do think about
Then
that.
you've got Sean Penn on the other end, which is always volunteering things that we don't really care about.
So the
and
lesson
it's
of-
oftentimes off base.
So the lesson of this crystal ball segment, the opinion segment, is be more like Keanu Reeves and less like Sean Penn.
There you go.
I think we nailed it.
I think that's perfect.
Thank you for letting me flesh that out, Michelle. All right, listeners, one last time. If you would like to have, we probably just ran a bunch of them off, but if you'd like to have a free, no obligation conversation, but forget the free part, because time is money, and free makes it sound like it's not valuable. Let me tell y'all, if you're thinking about reaching out to a financial advisor, I would highly encourage you, have a conversation with us. There's no obligation. There's no BS. We're going to talk about your investments, your retirement accounts. We're going to be open and honest, just like this radio show is. There's no sales pitch. And as y'all learned, I can't take commissions on, I'm not a transactional guy anyway. But if you want to have the conversation about your goals and dreams, especially about your comprehensive retirement plan, your financial retirement plan, give us a call, 251-327-2124. Go to our website, Gulf Coast FA is in financialadvisor.com. On our site, you can choose to send us direct message, or you can set a 15-minute introductory phone call on my calendar, upper right-hand corner. All right, Michelle, that's it for it this week.
Okay. Well, happy Mardi Gras, y'all.
It's coming.
That's right. Well, we're in
the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're not in deep Gras yet. We're mid Mardi Gras.
Right.
We have some things coming up.
Well, I want to thank you, my lovely co-host. That's
You're
Michelle
very
Lee Melton, the
welcome.
voice of. Thank you to our show sponsor, previously mentioned Jay Stubbs at Providence Partners. Thank you to our longtime awesome radio station, that is FM Talk 106.5 out of Mobile. And also a huge welcome. We're going into our fourth or fifth week with WHEP 92.5 FM and 1310 AM. Just had a person reach out from there. I forgot to tell you.
Boom.
Yes.
Congratulations.
401k group plan. They reached out. I'm very excited.
Okey-dokey.
Meet with them next
Perfect.
week. Many thanks to the provider of our show music, local band Sloth Racer. Huge thank you to our show producer. That's my son, Peyton Knoll. And as always, our sincere appreciation for all of you out there who have been joining us on this journey. We would love to be a part of your journey as well. Till we talk again next week, have a wonderful and productive week. This has been Coasting in Retirement with Josh Knoll. Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, LLC, known as GCFA, is a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Alabama and in such other jurisdictions where it is registered, filed the required notices, or is otherwise excluded or exempted from such registration and or notice filing requirements. Registration does not indicate or imply that GCFA has attained a particular level of skill or ability, nor does it constitute an endorsement of the firm by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, or any other state securities regulator. The Coasting in Retirement radio program serves mainly to disseminate general information, including those pertaining to GCFA's advisory services, together with access to additional investment-related information, publications, materials, and links. The publication of this radio show should not be construed by any client and or prospective client as GCFA's solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions in securities, nor should be interpreted as GCFA providing personalized investment advice or any type of professional advice for compensation wherever this program is broadcast. Any subsequent direct communication by GCFA with a prospective client will be conducted by a representative that is either registered or qualifies for an exemption or exclusion from registration in the state where the prospective client resides. Certain information, news stories, headlines, data, charts, graphs, figures, or statistics presented on this radio program may have been obtained from third-party sources that are believed to be generally reliable, but which GCFA may not have independently verified. GCFA does not and cannot guarantee the timeliness, accuracy, or reliability of any such third-party information and undertakes no obligation to update or correct any information that may become obsolete, unreliable, or inaccurate. This radio program also contains the opinions, views, and perspectives expressed by Josh Knoll and any other GCFA representative, which are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions, views, or perspectives of GCFA as a firm. Such personal views and opinions should not be construed as endorsements or professional advice from GCFA. GCFA makes no representation or warranty regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any information on this radio program and disclaims any liability for any direct or indirect loss or damage incurred from using or relying on such information. GCFA and Providence Partners are not affiliated, nor are any of their respective representatives.